Why do there appear to be so many pathological narcissists? Eddie here asks, how are there so many of these devious, complicated people that follow the exact same playbook? It's like owning a gremlin. Don't feed them after midnight, no sunlight. It's insidious, I think he says. Well, there are certainly a lot more than the statistics would show. The statistics are compiled from university campuses, from interviewers, from psych wards, and more often from prison populations. I mean, that goes to show it, doesn't it? You have to hold them captive in order to get them to admit things. I've also heard that having a very high P score, psychopath score, well, that can help you remain safe because it'll give you kind of like yard cred. So some of them might learn to fake the results. And in the United States, where it appears most of these studies are carried out, the prison populations over there are disproportionately African American and mostly male. So this would add to the idea, when you look at the statistics, that people with NPD tend to be male, and actually more so African American. It's just the statistics, right? And I don't agree with them. As you might be able to tell from me describing it, there are biases and flaws. One thing a pathological narcissist actually fears is utter exposure. So why would they be volunteering in university campuses? What people are looking for there are narcissistic traits. I'm hoping for a time where brain scans can be used alongside blood tests so that certain genetic factors will show up, and a combined diagnosis with personality tests would be indisputable. So it's biased, it's flawed, these do not carry the weight they should, and they certainly don't capture the numbers that would be present in any given population, because narcissists hide. I believe that it's genetics, really. Environment is going to play some effect too, but I think that the bedrock is genetics, so therefore I think that rather than it being predominantly male, I think that if we could see the truth, it would be roughly a 50-50 split between men and women who have NPD. Don't forget, men are more likely to be overt because grandiosity and being sort of bolshy is something that's rewarded. It's seen as leader-like. Aren't we seeing that right now? Then on the other side of it, if they're a female narcissist, they're more likely to be covert, hiding behind traditional notions of femininity. Oh, woe is me, I'm delicate, I'm a victim, I can't possibly be harmful. Now, if it is passed down through family lines genetically, then it's very likely that maybe the mother or the father or both were also someone who is either a carrier or they have the symptoms themselves and were therefore abusive. That's why it would explain that they all seem to have had an abusive past. But I don't think that that's absolutely always going to be the case. Maybe sometimes they're born into families where the mother and father are carriers, and so it gets passed on to the baby, but those gene expressions themselves didn't actually come into fruition in either parent and develop into a personality disorder. I mean, there are cases, I've heard here and there, of psychopaths being born into families that were simply not abusive. So why should this be any different? Now, why do they all follow the same playbook? Because the structure of their psyche is virtually identical. I'm already getting tired of me using these words. Pathological narcissists are stuck in the paranoid schizoid position of Melanie Klein's theory of object relations. This is an early stage that all human beings are said to pass through, where the psyche is organized into a binary arrangement, all good and all bad. This place is governed by a limited number of primary ego defenses. There is also a limited number of emotions available. It's a limited emotional range. Plus, the emotions that are not related to terror or idealization, well, they're kind of muted. They're lower volume than that of the average person. I mean, they're muted in babies that are born with NPD, I would say. Not in normal babies. Pathological narcissist has to stay over here where the all good exists, so that they don't fall into contact with the all bad, because they have nothing in between to regulate this oscillation. They rely on outside sources of external validation to prop up the reasons why they're here, the false self that they put on to attract people into this place of idealization themselves. When the effects of this idealization wear off in the victim, then you're going to see the effects of them jumping from pillar to post, from ego defense to ego defense. And some of the time, that's actually how they fool you into believing that you're the problem, with, for example, an ego defense called projective identification. The outer shell is different, the memories and life experiences are different, but the underlying organization of the psyche in each one of these people is virtually like a clone. Because the underlying structure of their psyche is the same, the playbook's the same. Anyway, hope that helps. Bye for now. And by the way, they're not complicated.